All right, well, I can't believe it. I'm sure you can't either. That 2018 is like, we're donezo. We are finished. We are rolling into 2019. And yes, I just did say donezo. Wow. It's been a long year, if you can tell. So it's the quarterly wrap-up time.
Welcome to IndustrialSage, a free video podcast series all about digital marketing for industrial manufacturers. Hear interviews with your peers and find out how they're solving the same challenges that you might be facing in your own field. Coming to you from the Optimum Production Studio in Atlanta, Georgia, this is IndustrialSage.
So the first thing, we talked with Judson Voss over at the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance to learn about what they're doing as an association to answer the call of really building a directory and learning about all the different manufacturers and industrial companies in the state of Georgia. So a little local piece here as we're from Atlanta, Georgia, but some really great insights and takeaways on how they're using technology to do that. Take a listen.
So getting in there, kind of identifying different things or really educating myself was one of the first things of knowing kind of what we're doing, what's happening in the digital space. Like I said, it's always changing. There's new technology every time I turn my head or something changing in the digital world. Like finally Google Plus is going away. Did you know that?
I found that out from Malika just about 10 minutes ago.
I just found that out now, really?
Yeah.
Thank God. Okay.
And,
all right.
and Adobe bought
They had a security
Marketo,
issue.
and there's like a lot of things that happen that transform the digital space that I think give a lot of opportunity, and picking the things that are going to work best for your business is going to be the key to that. So really understanding that not everything is going to work for every business, but if you educate yourself and know kind of what it is, and if your CEO comes to you and says, oh, this new live streaming, we should do this, it's like, actually maybe not for our company. That might not be the right thing for us right now, because we don't have a way to support it or make it sustainable or whatever the reasons might be, but to not kind of jump in at every single new digital trend. So educating yourself, educating your company, while most CEOs don't come to me and say, there's this new trend, I usually have to go to them and say, there's this trend that we need to be on, that if we're not on it, we are going to be left behind. We're going to be that 3-year-old website again. So you have to really kind of plant those seeds with the right people. And sometimes that's challenging if it depends on the size of the business, but getting in front of the right people and making it of value to them, which can also be a challenge if they don't understand what you're doing. If they don't see the value in digital, you have to make them see it. So different things of talking about the funnel are how we can increase more qualified leads, making those things ring true to the people that it's going to be impacting. So, we do things or consider things about what we call flipping the funnel. So really focusing in on your key customers that you want to reach. We're in the utility space. There are only so many utilities in the United States. And everyone has different rules, regulations, all of those things. But we know who they are. So like you said, we don't have to do widespread campaigning, but we can still use those technologies in a way to reach the specific people. So framing stuff like that, that they can see the money coming from it, the revenue generation coming from it, really helps kind of carve out why digital marketing is important, because people, or at least I've experienced, they'll stick to what they know. Mm-hmm. And until you can bring the value of something new, they're not going to really try to move at all, and then you'll be behind.
On the next episode, we had Anise from Leanswift, and they basically work with, they're an Infor M3 partner, and we talked about e-com and how that's a really big, big thing rolling out. A lot of companies are trying to figure out what to do, how to do it, and he had some really great insights in terms of, as a manufacturer, what you need to be thinking in terms of, starting to move into this strategy. So take a listen to a couple of these awesome sound bites.
It's the distribution channel has a value to add because when you deal with certain products, you cannot just buy and just go ahead and install.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you need some professional to help
some
you.
support,
Yeah,
yeah.
with the specs and certain ways to install it. So there is knowledge to be to be gained or shared through the distribution channel. But I think what people are looking for is just the medium, how we get that and how we work with each other and transact is changing.
Right.
A lot of people, they still want that value, that knowledge, but they want to do it through an e-commerce transaction, or at least have that option so
Right.
that people can go and do that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a value in having distribution channel, but also there's more value to having another option for consumers to be able to get. As I said before, the customer portal is great to get that first interaction.
Yeah.
And then talk about sales and marketing.
Yeah.
We know about SEOs, we know about ads and all that. If you have that platform, it will help you get more access to more consumers out there that they might not know about your products.
Yeah, and that's something that we've seen too, right? You're making that switch. That where it can be a little scary is because the whole go-to-market strategy, from a marketing standpoint and from a sales standpoint, is different.
Yeah, and I think it's the more outlets that you have out there, the more you're present, in terms of the online. The more recognition you're gonna get, and the more people can know about you. So the way I see it is really is marketing. It's a new way of marketing is to be able to show up on on these search pages to make sure that you're there so people can find you easily. So.
All right, Mo Bunnell came on IndustrialSage. I love Mo. If you haven't watched this episode, you need to watch the whole thing. It was pretty cool. But I've got some really cool snippets and some takeaways for here. So Mo launched his new book called The Snowball System, hashtag Snow Bunnell. Anyways, Mo Bunnell. So it's a funny, stupid joke. I'm a dork. But really awesome takeaways on some great sales strategies and tactics using HBDI, so using like psychology and how we think, and integrating that in the sales process, and just some really great insights on how to deliver better sales.
There's one more piece I remember you talking about after the training. Do you mind if I?
Oh, please open the wounds.
No, I remember this,
Yeah.
and I think it's particularly important for super technical salespeople and account managers at big manufacturing facilities. And do you remember the IKEA effect in building everything together?
I vaguely remember this. Oh shoot! You put me on the spot here.
I know.
No, that's
well,
okay.
there is going to be a test. I've got it right here.
Darn it.
Well, I think it'd be interesting to your viewers. I'm pretty sure the IKEA effect was first studied by Michael Norton out of Harvard and Dan Ariely out of Duke. And what they found was that people buy into what they help create. So let's say that, remember that.
I remember this,
building everything together. And the study that they did, they measured this in dozens of ways. The way I liked the best was they gave people IKEA furniture that was already put together. And then they were asked to go sell that in a controlled marketplace. And people in the experiment thought they were being judged on how high they could negotiate a price for this IKEA end table, say. There were some different types of furniture. And if you have enough people do that, you can sort of create what's the average amount that a person can sell this furniture for. That's the control group. The experimental group was the exact same thing, except they had to put the furniture together first. Guess who sold it for more?
The people who put the furniture together.
You got it. Yeah. See, you passed the test.
Yes.
All right. But what's interesting about that, when we turn it to that concept on business development, is so many technical salespeople we see will meet with a client, customer, prospect, and the person says, he or she says, "Hey, can you send me a proposal on that?"
Yeah.
They run back to the ranch, get 20 people together. They spend 30 people hours figuring out how they're actually going to run this through the plan, everything else, and they fire over a proposal without ever testing any of their ideas with anybody. We call it throwing it over the wall. And their chance of getting a no is very high because the person hasn't bought into it. They haven't built it with them. They haven't bought into what they helped create. A different process is if we can think about those 4 areas you led off with. What's the strategy? What's the process? What's the team we need to get it done, your side and our side, and what's the pricing? And we find when people get incremental yeses in the 4 major ways people think, verbally, over the phone, quick emails, back and forth, Then when they fire the proposal over the wall, the person's already bought into all the major part of it. They're excited about getting it, and you got a high chance of a yes. So incremental yeses leads to an easy yes at the end. Doing it all yourself and throwing over the wall gets to a high chance of a no.
All right, do you like chatbots? Bots? Well, we talked to Drift. We talked to Chris Handy from Drift, in fact. We talked about kind of their methodology and how they're using that. And in that, if you remember, when we did our sort of kickoff to 2018, we talked about how that was a big thing we were starting to see roll out in the industry. So we talked to the kings of chatbots, Drift in our mind anyways, and to get an understanding of what they were doing, how they were rolling out with it. It's pretty cool. Take a look at this. You're going to want to be thinking about this for 2019 for sure.
You may have had an experience, and some people think back to maybe sometime they bought a car or something and they had some chat on a car dealership website or something like that. That's not what this is. When we talk about chat, the way Drift implements it, it's more like iMessage on your website, where you can come in and you can just have an easy conversation, and there's no form to fill out. Although a lot of people do choose to put in their email address just because they want to, where people can ask questions. And what's great is that chat, in this case, it's got sort of bot baked into it. So it's not just one or the other, right? So a bot would be an automated action taken by a clearly represented chat bot on your website. So we know it's not Chris, we know it's not Dan, right? So ours is called DriftBot, and it looks like a little robot. And so we expect that to behave differently than if I were speaking with a human. But what we've done is we've created a platform that is all in one, right? So there are a few different ways that you can interact with a company. You can interact with what appears to be a bot at the very beginning, and then a human might jump in if you get hung up on something. Or you can type into what we call a welcome message, which is clearly me, or it's clearly a human at the company, and then I'm expecting for someone to respond. Now, we've made it so that both work together so really well. And so if I type in an open question into chat, a lot of salespeople think to themselves, well, I can't be there to answer all these support questions and other things like that. So we have a way that we hook into your knowledge base. And so what Drift is going to do is going to look into your knowledge base for an answer first and try and surface that answer and get that out of the way right before anyone has to jump in. And if it's not answered, then it'll grab somebody. And what we find is that people use that moment to upgrade their knowledge base. It's like, hey, people are asking for this. Let's figure out a way to automate that. So you chip away at automating support over time. And what the bot does is it allows you to have a fully automated experience where folks can self-qualify. So for instance, you might have a bot that calls out from the corner of the website. It says, hey, can I ask you a question? Right? Yeah. Rather than saying something like any question, we say, can I ask you a question? And we say, hey, are you looking to do this or that? Right. And sort of get people down a singular path so that we can identify more about what they're trying to do. And then maybe there's a moment when we should actually pull in someone to talk with them. Maybe it's a really hot lead that we already know is qualified, but maybe it's someone that wants to book a meeting for later. And we've got that integrated right in, so they can just book a meeting on someone's calendar right there without having to do the back and forth. So we're really looking to automate those most common actions that people that on the buyer side are trying to get done. They need an answer to their question. They need to book a meeting, or maybe they have a question for someone now and it's appropriate and the sales team chooses to operate that way.
And last but not least, we had Daniel Lushan on from MXT Process. This was his second time on IndustrialSage, and we talked about e-commerce and their story on how they rolled that out with their organization. It was really awesome. Did you know that they are selling tanks that are valued at $18,000 through their website? If you're thinking about e-commerce, you need to check this out.
Well, maybe e-commerce isn't what we need to be doing, or
right.
Or maybe it is. Like, you can have this product with all the information that they could ever want, and really clean it up and make it easy to use. And so it's unlike last time when we talked about social media and you asked about the time investment. I don't think that this requires to start a huge full-time salary time investment. You know, gosh, websites can be so easy nowadays.
Sure.
And so, especially if you're using Shopify, you know, there's plenty of great agencies out there that can do pretty cheap, you know, good templates that are built off of best practices. So they might not be customized to the extent that ours is, but they're customized to best practices. So you're starting on a good foot.
Right.
And so you can start there, implement this e-commerce website, and then you don't have to lose what you're already doing,
Right.
because you'll have a good website. It can be lead gen. You're not like firing salespeople. You're not really changing anything.
Right.
And just pick a few products that you think that people are buying, like maybe a middle of the road price range. That's somewhat of a popular product that you sell.
Right.
That's not complicated. And start with that and really put some ad spend into it and try to really see what you can do in terms of converting your visitors to those things and see if it's something that's viable. And then, if it is, then you can start adding more and more products and building more and more content. You don't have to just put all, 2,000 products you have up from day one, because you'll spend, $1 million in content and images. And I mean, you just don't have to do that. But I think people feel like they have to do that. But you can start. You can start smaller and kind of test the waters of it, and then collect that data. And if you're in a place where your competitors aren't doing it, I mean, gosh, you got nothing to lose, everything to gain.
All right, and so that wraps our final episode of fourth quarter of 2018 as we roll into 2019. It's very exciting. Thanks for being a loyal listener or watcher. Listen, if you have any questions, we'd love to answer them. People email us all the time, and we'll answer them on the show. So IndustrialSage.com/questions. We'll answer your questions. If you're listening on iTunes, hey, listen, we would really love a review. And if you are on social media, hey, man, share the love, share our stuff, like, comment, engage. We love all that stuff. So I'm done here. We're going to roll into 2019. It's going to be an awesome year. I hope you are pumped. I hope you are ready. I am super, super, super excited. 3 super levels. It's going to be awesome. So I will catch you next year at IndustrialSage.